Hi there, it's Clive here again, and it's been a day or so since I set up Google Stadia. If you've seen my Google Stadia unboxing video, then you'll know where we're at on that. If not, check it out. Check out that video. But today what I want to do is talk about my experience of Google Stadia, playing it on the Chromecast in beautiful 4K 60 frames per second, playing it in my Chrome browser, on my PC, and finally on my phone. So I'll go through initially those various different platforms, as it were, of playing Google Stadia, telling you my experience. Most of it's going to be based on Destiny 2 because that is the game I'm most familiar with, and it's a game I play regularly on Xbox. So it's a good, chance for me to sort of compare and contrast. That's what we're going to do today. So basically, we're going to start off with a setup. Setting up is meant to be fairly straightforward, but I did have a few issues setting up, but it wasn't Google Stadia's issue. It's more the way that my BT broadband hub operates, which tends to be a bit of an issue sometimes. But I managed to resolve that as well, and obviously that's crucial because you have to set up your Chromecast first. That's first and foremost. That's one thing. And bear in mind, of course, your Chromecast is not just for Google Stadia. I've already had a Chromecast, but I didn't have a Chromecast Ultra. Of course, I can use that to stream 4K Netflix and TV and whatnot. Anyway, that's beside the point. So I set that up and I hardwired it eventually. So I have an Ethernet cable going into my Chromecast, as recommended by Google for Google Stadia. They sent out an email before they issued the Stadia codes and everything about a week or so saying, getting ready for Stadia, that their recommendation was that if you're using the Chromecast, then you should connect it to Ethernet. And it makes a lot of sense. So that's what I did, as you'll see. So I often have an issue with when I'm trying to, connect a few smart appliances to my Wi-Fi or things that are meant to connect to the Wi-Fi. That doesn't always work, and that's because of the BT broadband. But anyway, I managed to get over those problems. I connected the Chromecast initially by Wi-Fi, and then once I knew everything was working, the controller was connected and all that kind of stuff, I then used the internet cable, made sure that was all working, and that was fine. On the note about Google's recommendations, even if you do a speed test, let's have a quick look here. Google Stadia test. So I'm constantly doing the Google Stadia test just to sort of get a sense of download speeds that I'm getting. And on it, it says, for getting accurate results, use the device and network that you want to play on, have a strong Wi-Fi or Ethernet connection. So that's basically, if you're Wi-Fi, it's got to be 5 gigahertz really. Stop current downloads or file sharing. So basically, if anybody's doing anything else on your network of any significance, that's going to affect it. There, I'm getting 56 megabits per second. Close other tabs or streaming services like videos and music. So if you have got loads of stuff drawing down on the Wi-Fi, stuff like that, then you're gonna have problems. What I've begun to realize about Google Stadia is so dependent on other things outside its kind of reach. It's dependent that you have good Wi-Fi. It's dependent that you have a strong broadband signal. It's dependent that your home, your hub, your router kind of functions effectively and communicates with other Wi-Fi things. Those are the issues. Google Stadia sort of provided everything they need to sort of provide a service that sort of works if at your end things are working fine. And on that, you'll see from the gameplay that I've done. Unfortunately, I have to film the TV screen because there's no way I can sort of capture. I don't have any sort of screen capture software that operates on my computer. It only operates on the cloud, and of course that basically means I'm using up some of the bandwidth. So it sort of defeats the object of me trying to demonstrate Google Stadia. And on the TV, obviously, I've had to film it, and you won't be able to see really. But let's talk about my experience once everything was up and running of playing Google Stadia on the Chromecast first. I have to say, the picture quality is really good. I've read various reviews of people sort of saying, "Oh, it's like watching a YouTube video." No, it's not. I play my Xbox S on the same screen, and I think I'm fairly certain that the picture quality I was getting through Google Stadia was better. It's meant to be because it's 4K. And not only that, one thing I did find is the sound. I was hearing sounds that I don't always hear on my Xbox S. And again, I was using the same headphones, my gaming headphones, the same headphones. So the sound quality is really good as well. So when it works, it looks amazing. And after a while, I mean, I'm not sure I really noticed any lag. And that's the one thing across all of these things, the latency lag issue, I think is the least of Google's issues. If, all things being equal, you've got a reasonably, strong, consistent broadband, good Wi-Fi if that's what you're using, and there's no loads of people in your house draining the broadband or the Wi-Fi sort of resources with downloading, etc. Let's assume those are equal. Then Google Stadia, when it works really well, and it is really, really impressive. Yes, it's not perfect, and I have had issues where the broadband just suddenly drops. I get that sometimes, usually around midnight or 1 o'clock. For some reason, the broadband suddenly decides to have a bit of a wobble, and then it comes back, which is weird because I'm constantly getting told I'm getting anywhere between 50 to 60 megabits per second. And I think the minimum requirement to get to 4K is around that 30, 35. So I should be all right. I should have enough bandwidth to cater for that. And so occasionally when it may drop a frame or a momentary freeze, it's a small little ripple in a placid sea of sort of pictorial beauty, as it were. It doesn't interrupt my gameplay to that degree. And I think testament to that is I sat playing Destiny 2, even though I have it on Xbox. I played it on my Chromecast for hours. I did loads of campaigns. I went through loads of different campaigns. So I think it's hard to judge it directly against, say, an Xbox X or a PlayStation Pro or a £3,000 gaming PC with a top internet connection. Is it better than that? No, of course it's not. But is it better than your sort of an average Xbox or an average PlayStation experience? Occasionally, yes, especially at the 4K 60 frames per second. And as I say, some people have noticed that they're not getting a latency and lag when they connect by wire to their PC or by their phone, but they are getting it on the Chromecast. I'm not. And I think maybe you should definitely make sure you've set your telly, if you've got game mode on it, set your telly to game mode, because the telly has a built-in lag. So if you just change it to game mode, that can kind of just improve that latency and lag. So generally, as I say, my experience has been pretty impressive. It's not been absolutely plain sailing all the way through. I've had bits where I've dropped out of the game. But then I've just gone straight back in where I left off. But, too late, I'm dead. That's annoying. But that's quite a rare occurrence. And I did have one situation this morning where it was more an issue of connecting with the Destiny servers. So it wasn't a Google server. So I don't know if that was an issue with Bungie's servers or an issue between Google and Bungie's servers. But it wasn't an issue between me and Google, as it were. I've not had that before, so that was interesting. So there was plenty of good things and plenty of bad things about Google Stadia, but generally, I think I've been fairly impressed.
Okay, so I just wanted to demonstrate how easy it is to move between platforms. So I'm wired in now to the my laptop, which plays on my gaming monitor here. And so now we're playing this Destiny 2 basically in your Chrome browser. That's the amazing thing. And what I want to show here is how you can transition from platform to platform. So, and it just picks up from where you left off. And if you do crash out, I think it keeps you logged in for about 15 minutes, which is quite cool. So we'll just log into Destiny 2 now. We won't go through all the logging process. Of course, you can play with keyboard and mouse, but I'm hopeless at keyboard, so we're going to be playing with the controller. And we'll cut straight into some gameplay, and then I'll transition between the platforms so you can see how easy, in principle, it is. And just to show that the keyboard works, I'm using my mouse just to demonstrate here. But what I actually want now is I'm swapping to the... Right, so we'll... you can see the picture quality, you know, as far as this camera is going to show you on the monitor, looks really nice. Bearing in mind, on the Chrome browser, it's in 1080p, but my monitor's only 1080p, so there you go. And it looks great. But we'll cut, as I say, let's cut to some action. Let's go to Mars and get into some action. So here we are on Mars. Some guys over there. One less guy over there. Whoop. Okay, so fairly straightforward. Targeting's not too bad there. I mean, the game plays so well. It's amazing that this is just in your Chrome browser. I mean, even you get the Stadia base, which is coming out next year, which is no subscription, so you're just buying the games. I mean, as a concept, as I say, it's all network dependent. You've got to make sure you have a reasonable network and that loads of people aren't using the network at the same time. And if you can hardwire things, then that's great. But this is where I think Google have undersold it, really. This is in a Chrome browser. Forget the 4K 60 frames per second on the TV. This is a Chrome browser for now. Anyway, so I'm just going to hide here and we're going to transition to the phone. Now, the annoying thing is that obviously this cable here to my laptop is USB-C here, USB-C to your standard USB 2.0 or 3.0 in your laptop. And on my phone, because it's a Pixel, I have to go USB-C to USB-C. So we're just going to unplug this now. Plug this one in, and let's just go to the phone. Right, now it says, just focus on the phone. Now it says, this screen. I'm going to just play it there. Okay, now it's paused. And there, look. And now we're on this screen here. Now I always have a problem with the initial registering the initial Stadia. So it's recognised the controller there. Right. There we are. Let's just for transparency's sake, I had to just re-plug it in. I was a bit eager, but there we go. We're exactly in the same place, okay? And now I'm out of. That's no good, isn't it? Let's just find a weapon that works. Right, and now, having on that, we're going to transition. I'm going to unplug this, and we're going to transition at the same time to the TV. So bear with. So at the TV now, and just log in. So I've just logged in with the controller now. And of course the controller is wireless because on the Chromecast, and we should be in the same place. Okay, and I'm going straight into Destiny, just logging on, and we should be exactly where we left off. There we are, look. Exactly where we left off. That's just transitioning from screen to screen. Let me just get some ammo and stuff, and then I'll take you around. You know, look. Shot the guy already. So there you go. It just goes to show how easy it is to transition from device to device. And as you say, the gameplay looks amazing. Looks amazing in the 4K. So I just wanted to do a quick demo of that. I'll be doing more gameplay demos later. Obviously, I don't have any screen capture on my laptop at the moment other than via cloud, and of course that will use up the bandwidth that I need for the Destiny. So, oh look, hello. Let's just kill this guy. There we are. And on that note, as I say, I think that sort of demonstrated the transition from platform to platform.
I think it was Arthur C. Clarke who said that great science should be indistinguishable from magic. I think I'm paraphrasing there. And when Google Stadia works to its sort of fullest, there is something a bit magical about it. It's hard to believe sometimes that you're playing on your telly without any really sort of major hardware, just a Chromecast in 4K 60 frames per second with minimal lag. And when you're playing in a Chrome browser on your computer, just calling up Chrome browser, and you're playing a really, high fidelity 1080p game, again, there's something quite sort of magical about it. Google have kind of cracked, I think, or have gone a long way to cracking that thing that everybody doubted that they could do. I played on xCloud, which is the other thing, and there is a marked improvement. The difference between, and they're very different beasts. Don't get me wrong. xCloud is not producing something at 4K 60 frames per second. It's really for kind of your mobile, and then later on maybe they're going to do an app for Windows 10. But in terms of latency and lag, I noticed there was more latency and lag in that than with Google Stadia. If anything, as I said, Google Stadia issue tends to be the actual delivery of the video or slightly stuttering video now and then, very rarely, and less on lag issues, latency issues in terms of response times on the controller. Just on the controller, Again, when I first started playing, one of the reasons I thought there was lag to a certain degree of latency, part of that, you could account a few milliseconds of that, because I'm not used to this controller. I'm used to my Xbox controllers. But now I've been playing for a while with this controller. I really like it, and I especially like these triggers and the way that they feel like kind of levers, small levers on there, and the small handle bits here. I'm getting really used to it. Yeah, I'd prefer it if some of the buttons were the other way around slightly, but generally I really like the controller. So I'd just like to say, I think ultimately you can watch 1,000 Google Stadia reviews and you'll get 1,000 different responses. The one thing that is constant is the Google Stadia. The one thing that is not constant is everybody's Wi-Fi or broadband connection. I saw a review in the Washington Post and the guy tried to play it in his office and he said it was terrible. And I just thought to myself, if I tried to play it in my office, it would be terrible. In your office, you've got so much Wi-Fi interference. You've got so many other people on the network. Office networks aren't built for nice, clean, pure streaming. They're built for loads and loads of people using it at the same time. Conversely, when the person went home, they said, it was great, it was marvellous. So it's like, use your common sense about what Google Stadia is and can achieve. Follow what they say. Give Google Stadia a chance, at least, by following what Google say. Connect it to Ethernet if you can. Make sure you've got a good network and have a strong Wi-Fi and internet connection. Close all the other tabs doing, everything else. And when you do that and you make sure that you're giving it a chance, giving it a good run for its money, then yes, it delivers. I mean, I don't think it's a sort of in a state that is a sort of a launch thing. I think in a way Google should have maybe sort of said, okay, this is a sort of a public preview, a bit like Xbox's xCloud preview. So not an insider's preview, which was the Project Stream sort of thing that Google did, but a kind of a public preview. And then I think you would have managed the expectations. I only think that in a way, if this is a soft launch, that say come February when the Google Stadia base, which is free, albeit you're only getting 1080p, but I mean, it is pretty impressive to be able to play AAA games in a Chrome browser and to be able to have access to do that for free. Yes, of course you have to buy the games, but having the freedom to do that is pretty impressive. But I think come then, hopefully Google would have, constantly improved on what they're doing and added in lots of the sort of little aspects to Stadia that they said they were going to do, sort of the sharing, the connecting points, and all those elements, the Google Assistant, and they start building, not only improving on the delivery of the game, but improving on the services around it as well. And then I think have a kind of full-on launch in sort of February time. And I think between now and then we're going to see some, big changes and obviously, more games. But I think as a first effort, yeah, there are some things that could be better and that will improve. But there is something extraordinary and magical when this thing works, and when it, when sort of the wind is in the right direction. It's impressive. Playing 4K 60 frames per second on your TV just through a Chromecast is something to behold. Anyway, that's enough waffle for now. So we'll call it a day there. Let me know your thoughts. Remember, please like, subscribe if you haven't already subscribed. Make sure you check out my other videos as well and give me feedback on those. That would be really great. Thank you.